Miraculous revelation, unveiling the three divine secrets of the sacred prison between life and death, in the quaint village of Ambridge, where the hills rolled like waves and meadows bloomed with vibrant color, whispered legends spoke of a sacred realm existing just beyond the veil between life and death. It was here that James, a devoted churchwarden, stood as a guardian of faith in a cherished little church, which had been his anchor through the storm of grief following his beloved wife's passing. Tonight, the weight of sorrow perched upon his shoulders as the church prepared for a special memorial prayer service honoring her memory, a night imbued with the hope of divine revelation. As the candlelight flickered like stars against the stone walls, James felt an overwhelming presence illuminate the air, the first sign of something miraculous. It wasn't just the reverent hush that cloaked the congregation or the soft echoes of hymns swelling like a gentle tide, it was the palpable sense of a higher power preparing to unveil profound truths. It was as if the very air pulsed with a rhythm of faith that vibrated deep within his core. As tears brimmed in his eyes, James led the service, his voice a serene anchor amid waves of melancholy. In the midst of heartfelt prayers, a soft glow enveloped him, transporting him beyond the walls of the church. Suddenly, he found himself in a serene, ethereal expanse, a sacred prison suspended between two worlds. Before him stood his wife, radiant and filled with divine peace. Her smile, bathed in heavenly light, warmed his weary heart. "James," she whispered, her voice a melodic echo in the vastness, "I bring you three secrets to share with the living. These truths will bring healing and understanding." As she spoke, the air shimmered with an inexplicable energy, and each word unfurled deep within him, igniting a flame of hope he believed extinguished. But just as abruptly as the vision began, it shattered. James found himself back in his familiar church, surrounded by skeptical gazes from church leaders who dismissed his experience as mere fancy. "It's just the grief talking," they murmured, feathers of doubt strewn across his spirit. James felt the weight of disbelief heavy on his shoulders. How could he honor his wife's message when others questioned his sanity? "Before we continue, I need to tell you about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, click the bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can leave a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. As the days trudged on, despair echoed within him, yet James knew he had little time to linger in sorrow. When a beloved member of the community succumbed to a grave illness, desperation forced James to a crossroads: surrender his beliefs to the tides of skepticism or stand firm, clinging to the hope he had glimpsed in the sacred prison. With trembling hands, he stood before the gathered crowd, channeling every ounce of faith, every memory of his wife's love. "Let us pray," he called, words bursting forth like an uncontainable wellspring. As prayers rose, a divine manifestation engulfed the church. Gasps rippled through the congregation as the sickened soul was miraculously healed, light pouring through the rafters in a breathtaking blaze of hope. As they bore witness to the miracle, hearts soared, faith rekindled. James realized his experience was not a solitary path but part of a grander design, a beckoning to uncover the three secrets that had been imparted in their sacred prison, truths that bound life and eternity together. Emerging from the chasm of doubt, he felt the stirrings of an unforgettable journey blossoming within him, and a question lingered in the air: what profound revelations awaited as he unraveled the divine mysteries of life and death? Days turned into weeks, each one filled with an urgency that pulled at James' heart. The miracle in the church reignited a spark in the village, and though some remained doubtful, others began to gather at the little church, drawn by whispers of hope and healing. Each prayer meeting brought a new light into the dark corners of despair that often lingered in his thoughts. Yet, despite the growing congregation, James felt a lingering emptiness inside, a need to understand the secrets bestowed upon him by his wife. One evening, the church was abuzz with enthusiasm. People laughed and spoke of newfound faith, yet James stood apart, his spirit restless. With hearts opened by the miracle, the villagers sought answers, but how to convey the profound truths awaiting revelation? He realized that his journey was not just about him or his grief, it had transformed into a collective quest for divine understanding. What if he was to share not just with the grieving, but with all who sought light in darkness? As he wandered the familiar meadows that had cradled his spirit, the memories of his wife enveloped him like a gentle breeze. It was here, surrounded by the beauty of creation, that he desired to sit quietly in prayer, to ask the heavens to guide him. He fell to his knees amongst wildflowers, his heart open, vulnerable. "Lord," he breathed, "if I am to share these truths, please reveal them to me." In that moment of stillness, an inexplicable peace washed over him. He could feel divine energy coiling around him, much like the warmth of sunlight breaking through the darkest of clouds. Then, a whisper danced on the wind, echoing the promise his wife had made. "Seek within," it urged. James opened his eyes, suddenly filled with a sense of urgency. The secrets were not out of reach, but rather interwoven into the fabric of every prayer, every heart he had touched, and every act of kindness witnessed. He understood now these were not secrets meant to be kept but shared, breathing life into those who felt trapped in their own sacred prisons. Enveloped in clarity, he returned to the church, feeling the Holy Spirit filling the air. He approached the altar, the gathered congregation watching with curiosity, their faces lit not only by candlelight but by the twinkling hope of unity. "Brothers and sisters," he began, his voice steady but tender, "God has shown me that these 3 secrets are ours to share, to breathe life into our spirit." Just as he prepared to unfold the first secret, a sudden gust rushed through the church, extinguishing some candles and causing hushed whispers to ripple among the faithful. The doors swung wide, revealing a figure cloaked in mist, radiant yet shadowy, a messenger from the realm James had briefly known. The gathering collectively drew in breath, eyes widened, hearts racing. James' pulse quickened, blending fear with faith. The people shared silent glances, unsure whether to flee or to draw closer to this unearthly presence. He stood resolute, the inner knowledge of his wife's love fueling his spirit. What message lingered on the lips of this messenger? What hidden truth would echo through the walls of the church and beyond? With bated breath, the members of the congregation leaned in, as the figure took a step forward, every eye fixed in reverence and awe. Would they uncover the first divine secret, or would the moment dissolve into the mystery that had brought them all together in such a sacred space? And there it was, the air thick with holy tension, their hearts poised to embrace whatever might unfold next. What would they discover on this path chosen for them by faith? The air crackled with a sacred energy, as if the very walls of the church held their breath in anticipation. The figure before them shimmered softly, an ephemeral presence that seemed to embody both tranquility and power. The villagers, glued to their seats, felt a stirring deep within their souls. They caught glimpses of hope and longing reflected in each other's eyes. As the messenger took a breath, the wind carried a soft yet commanding voice that resonated through the hearts of those gathered. "Believers," it began, "the time has come to unveil the first secret, a truth woven into the tapestry of existence itself. It is this: love transcends even the veil of death." At those words, a ripple of recognition washed over the congregation. James felt a heat in his chest, as memories of his wife flooded back, her laughter, her warmth, and the bond that survived even the darkest days. He was reminded that love was not merely a fleeting emotion, it was a force that transformed everything it touched. "Your beloved ones," the messenger continued, "are never truly lost. They reside in the hearts of those who cherish them. Their essence lingers on, guiding, comforting, and loving from beyond." Tears streamed down James' cheeks as he realized that his grief was a testament to the depth of their love, not a mark of separation. Some in the congregation began to weep, while others clutched their chests, drawn into the embrace of the message. He saw their pain morphing into an outpouring of hope, an understanding that love knew no boundaries. "Be comforted," the voice murmured, "for life is eternal, and every prayer, every word of kindness, sends ripples through time and space. You are forever interconnected." The light in the room brightened as if the sun had entered, comforting shadows that once felt all-consuming. James felt emboldened, the lingering emptiness slowly dissolving as he began to grasp the importance of sharing this truth. It wasn't just for him, it was a message for all who had ever mourned, for all who had questioned the fabric of existence. His heart racing with inspiration, he turned back to his congregation. Sisters and brothers, this truth isn't just for us alone. Imagine the light it can bring to those still wandering in darkness. Let's carry this secret forth with courage and joy. As encouragement awakened within the hearts of many, the messenger stepped closer, the energy around it pulsating with even greater light. There is more to uncover, but this first revelation is the foundation upon which your strength will grow. Through love, you will find healing. And healing opens the door to the next secret. The crowd shifted restlessly, filled now with exhilaration and yearning to know what more awaited them. Would they be ready to receive the next unveiling? What fragments of divine wisdom would illuminate their path? James felt a swell of collective faith rising, as they embraced the potent promise of the sacred journey laid before them. With every whispered prayer and ounce of belief, the walls that once confined them in sorrow were starting to fade. They were no longer alone in their struggles, they were being knit together in a divine tapestry of love and truth. What came next? Could they handle the revelation to unfold, or would it challenge them in ways they could scarcely imagine? In that moment of unity, hearts and spirits aligned, they braced themselves for the next divine truth that would begin to echo through their lives. The atmosphere grew thick with anticipation, a sacred stillness enveloping the church as the messenger's aura shimmered with divine promise. With a gentle yet resolute gesture, the figure invited everyone to open their hearts even wider, urging them to be ready for a new revelation. Believers, the voice sang through the room, like a melodious breeze weaving through lush, green fields, from love flows a river of hope. Its waters nurture your bones, touch your spirits, and awaken the dormant dreams you hold dear, bubbling forth from the depths of your souls. James felt that river beginning to surge within him, washing away remnants of doubt and fear. Others in the congregation closed their eyes at the beauty of it all. He wasn't alone in this cleansing. The air around them felt alive, charged with vibrant energy as though all creation was leaning in to listen. Make no mistake, the messenger said, each word ringing with unmistakable clarity, hope is the bridge that connects you to the eternal realm. It carries you through life's trials and triumphs, guiding you as you walk this sacred walk. A murmur of agreement rippled through the congregation, as hearts beat as one, an orchestra playing the symphony of faith. James couldn't help but smile through tears. His spirit felt lighter, buoyed by the shared understanding that hope lifted them beyond every earthly pain. Embrace this truth, dear ones. For the world may sometimes feel dark and isolating, the voice continued, but be certain that hope is the lantern you carry. It lights your path and dispels the shadows that threaten your joy. Each word stirred passion within the gathered souls, faces brightened with renewed energy, smiles replaced frowns, and a resounding amen echoed in response. With every breath, the messenger instilled strength and confidence into their spirits. Yet there is more to reveal. The messenger gestured with a wave, invoking a soft sigh of suspense from the crowd. This hope also serves as the key to an even deeper understanding. You see, love and hope intertwine, they are unbreakable strands, forming the essence of your being. But there exists something even more powerful, something that can transform your lives. A hush swept over the gathering as every ear strained to hear the next sacred truth being unveiled. James felt his heart thump wildly, excitement mingling with nervousness. Could they truly fathom the depths of what was to come? Believers, the ultimate truth is this: you are divine co-creators of your reality, the messenger proclaimed, the voice swelling with both authority and tenderness. With intention and love, you have the power to shape not only your lives but the lives of all around you. It is through your faith, imperfect yet beautiful, that divine miracles emerge. Gasps radiated through the crowd. James saw eyes widen, brows furrow with contemplation, and mouths part in astonished wonder. Could it be? They, just ordinary people, were imbued with such incredible potential. Hope whirled like a tempest through the air, paving pathways where fear used to dwell. Listen closely, the messenger continued, for this power does not dwell in isolation, it craves communion. Share your hopes. Plant seeds of love in the hearts of others and watch them flourish. You are each part of the greater tapestry, your unique threads are vital to the whole. A soft fire ignited within James. Suddenly, an overwhelming truth enveloped him, the responsibility and joy of creation lay within his grasp. He glanced at his fellow villagers, each face reflecting awe and wonder, united in their shared revelation. "Can you feel it?" he shouted, his voice booming over them. "We hold the keys. This is our time to shine. We cannot bow to despair any longer. With every act of love and kindness, we step into our divine essence." As hands reached for one another, energy crackled between them. Hope and love interlaced, connecting them like an unbreakable bond. Yet deep within their hearts, a lingering question remained: how would they use this newfound understanding? With anticipation hanging thick in the air, they readied themselves for whatever lay ahead. What seeds of destiny would they cultivate in their lives? The next chapter awaited them, illuminated by the flicker of their awakened spirits. James felt the energy in the room swell like a tide, each heartbeat resonating with newfound purpose. The messenger's gaze scanned the gathered souls, igniting a spark of connection that reached deep into the core of every person present. The whispers of hope grew louder, intertwining with dreams long tucked away. "Dear ones," the messenger said, the voice now a soothing balm, "let us delve deeper into this sacred understanding. For within you lies the power to transform not just your lives, but the world around you. 3 keys will unlock this divine potential, 3 sacred secrets to awaken the Creator within." With every word, anticipation crackled through the air like electricity. The soft candlelight flickered, surrounding them in an ethereal glow. James leaned in, his heart racing with curiosity. What could these secrets be? The room seemed to lean in, hanging on the messenger's every syllable. First, the figure began, "Embrace your uniqueness. Each of you is a precious note in the symphony of creation. You bring colors, textures, and rhythms that no one else can replicate. Recognize your gifts and share them with the world. For when you do, the masterpiece of love unfolds before your eyes." Gasps of recognition sounded throughout the congregation. James found himself reflecting on his own gifts, the kindness he extended to others, the small acts of compassion woven into his daily routine. He felt a warm glow spread within him, igniting an ember of purpose. Second, the messenger continued, the voice rising with intensity, "Allow vulnerability to be your strength. Embrace your imperfections, for they are the very essence of your humanity. When you share your struggles, you create space for healing both within yourself and for others. When you allow others to see you as you truly are, you weave a tapestry of connection that brings forth hope." Nods of understanding swept through the crowd, affirming the shared experience of struggle. Here was a reminder that even in their brokenness, they could uplift others. The tears flowed freely now, a beautiful release of burdens once held tightly. And lastly, the messenger declared, eyes ablaze with compassion, "Dare to dream audaciously. Your dreams are whispers of the divine, stirring within you for a reason. Nurture them. For God's vision for your life is greater than any limitation you may perceive. As you step forward with courageous hearts, miracles will sprout from your faith." A chorus of hallelujahs erupted from the assembly. The atmosphere was electric, pulsing with the energy of possibility. James's spirit soared. He could feel an awakening within himself, a call to action shaping his very soul. The message danced in his heart, hope, vulnerability, and ambition intertwining as one. But even as the excitement surged through him, a question lodged itself firmly in his mind: how could they practically embody these sacred secrets in their daily lives? As if sensing the question, the messenger paused, the room growing silent once more. "You see," the voice softened, "it is not enough to merely know. Each key must be used, applied. The world needs your gifts, your vulnerability, your dreams, transformed into action." With those words, a profound stillness enveloped the congregation. Eyes met in shared determination, a collective promise forming as they contemplated their next steps. They were about to embark on a divine journey, and the weight of responsibility settled on their shoulders, both daunting and exhilarating. "Prepare yourselves," the messenger exclaimed, the energy vibrating through their bones. "The time has come for action. The seeds of love must blossom into tangible realities. How will you plant them?" The weight of the moment lingered, and James knew they stood at the threshold of profound transformation. The echo of questions swirled around him. How would his gifts bloom? What vulnerabilities would he share? What dreams would take flight? As each heart pulsed with potential, James found himself staring into the vast unknown of possibility. He sensed that the next chapter filled with trials and triumphs would be pivotal in shaping their purpose. What awaited them as they stepped toward branding their divine essence into the world? The answers remained just beyond reach, waiting to unfurl. The moment stretched, heavy with anticipation. Silence filled the room once more, as if the entire universe had paused to witness the sacred unfolding of their destinies. A hush fell over the congregation, breaths were held, eyes wide with wonder and excitement. "Now, dear friends," the messenger said, a soft smile illuminating their face, "now comes the time to put these sacred secrets into the hands of your reality. Let us not simply speak of transformation but walk the path of it." James could feel the thrum of energy in the air, vibrating deep inside him, unmistakably guiding him closer to a truth he was destined to discover. The atmosphere surged, and he sensed every person around him was alive with purpose. "Let us begin with you, James," the messenger beckoned, and all eyes turned to him. A wave of warmth surged through him, mixing with a hint of trepidation. "Share with us how you plan to embrace your uniqueness." James took a breath, summoning courage he didn't know he had. "I want to write," he started, his voice finding strength amid the sea of souls. "I've always been told my words touch hearts. I feel their essay story in me, stories of hope, grace, and love." But he hesitated, the memory of self-doubt surfacing. "What if my writing doesn't matter?" "Ah." The messenger smiled knowingly. "Every note in the symphony matters. You aren't just sharing stories, you're weaving hope that can inspire countless others. When you share your gift, you invite others to discover theirs." With each encouraging word, James felt a burden lifted, replaced by a growing resolve. He couldn't ignore that pulsating whisper of passion residing within. "What about you?" The messenger turned to another participant, an older woman with eyes like unclouded skies. "What gift do you feel called to share?" "I've always been a caregiver," she replied, her voice tender yet resolute. "But I've shied away from stepping forward as a leader in my community." A tremor of vulnerability shot through her words, drawing empathy from those listening. "I want to grow, to offer my experience and comfort to those in need, but the fear of comparison holds me back." "Vulnerability is not weakness, my friend, it is your strength." The messenger encouraged. "Your imperfections make you relatable, they open a space for connection. When you step forward, you create circles of healing in your community that can resonate through generations." Nods of understanding bubbled through the crowd, hearts swelling with kindred spirits, each vulnerability igniting a collective strength. "Now, let us take a moment," the messenger said, "to dare as a unified force. What dreams will you nurture?" Several hands shot up, and a young man stepped forward, eyes glowing with fervor. "I have a vision for a youth outreach program. A place where we can gather, share, and create something beautiful together." "But what if no one shows up?" "With every seed you plant, the universe will respond. Those who are meant to receive your dreams will find you," the messenger assured. "Your divine vision is a beacon that calls those hearts yearning for light." A chorus of affirmations surged, filling the air with a unified spirit. Each person felt a ripple of grace, igniting their essence and purpose. James looked around him, seeing the glimmers of hope shared through the eyes of his companions. It was more than revelation, it was a reassurance that the divine awaited them at every turn. "What if we actively decide to help each other?" suggested a quiet voice. "We can form small groups, weaving our dreams together through support and accountability." The messenger clapped their hands with delight. "There is power in community. Your prayers and actions together create a tapestry too beautiful to contain within these walls. The room erupted in joyous affirmations, clapping and laughter mingling as possibilities spiraled before them. James felt anticipation electrify the space. They had identified their dreams, and now they were walking the path to their awakening, a journey brimming with the promise of divine action. As the passionate energy filled the room, James could hardly contain his enthusiasm. This was more than a moment, it was a movement. What miracles awaited them as they stepped out into the world, ready to plant seeds of love? What fresh chapters would unfold in their shared journey? The answers fluttered ahead like leaves in the wind, waiting to be written. The energy in the room was palpable, electrifying the air as the congregation buzzed with a renewed sense of purpose. Every soul present felt connected, each heart beating in rhythm with a growing heartbeat of hope. James stood surrounded by friends, yet he felt a vastness within him, a realization that this was just the beginning. "Let us continue our circle of sharing," the messenger encouraged, their eyes sparkling with encouragement. "Who else wishes to voice the dreams stirring within their hearts?" A quiet young woman with an infectious laugh stepped forward. "I've always loved painting, but I never considered it a worthy pursuit. Sure, I find joy in it, but what if it only brings joy to me?" She shifted nervously, a flush creeping to her cheeks. "But if it were to reach others, that could change everything." "Exactly," the messenger replied with fervor. "Your art is an expression of divine truth. Each brushstroke can uphold the beauty of life, even in the darkest corners. Allow your creation to be an offering, a testimony, and you'll invite others to witness God's glory in your expression." A murmur of agreement rippled through the room. James felt a surge of solidarity. Every person, with their doubts and dreams, intertwined, forming a tapestry of human experience united in faith. "Can we explore what we fear about embracing these gifts?" asked a wise elder, his voice steady yet warm. "Acknowledging our fears is often the first step towards growth. If we understand them, we can transform our perspective." "I fear rejection," a soft voice from the back confessed. It was a young man who had sat quietly, listening. "I want to lead a choir, but what if my voice isn't good enough? What if I embarrass myself?" "Your voice is a gift to the world," the messenger said, turning to him with encouragement. "Remember, the strength lies not in perfection but in authenticity. Your honesty will resonate with others, inviting them to be real too. This is the joining of hearts in a song." The young man nodded, his eyes shining, and it seemed that the fear lifted just a bit in that moment. James found himself filled with emotion, witnessing these moments of collective vulnerability. Each revelation held the power to release pent-up potential, and he too began to realize his fears mirrored those of his companions. The question of whether his writing mattered could easily reflect anyone's reason for hesitancy. He wondered, what if each story, even the slightest, could spark a flame in someone else's heart? "Imagine," the messenger continued, "what happens when we accept our gifts together. When brave hearts gather, even shadows of doubt fade, and light breaks through." The atmosphere shifted, became charged anew. It was as if strands of light were being woven through their words, forming something divine around them. Together, they began to lift one another, thoughts and ideas reverberating like notes in a heavenly choir. James raised his hand, the enthusiasm bubbling in him. "Can we start something today?" he asked, unable to contain the excitement. "Share our stories and gifts with one another right now in this very space." "Absolutely." The messenger laughed joyously. "What's beautiful is that the more we share, the brighter our collective light will shine. Each story adds depth to the tapestry of God's love." With eager smiles, small pockets of individuals began to congregate, forming groups to share their talents and dreams. Laughter erupted amongst them, and a spirit of joy infused the air, the perfect backdrop to their emerging connections. As James listened to snippets of dreams sprouting around him, he felt a powerful warmth surge through him. This was more than a gathering, it was communion. What would they ultimately birth from this sacred space? What would the universe respond with in return? The sense of divine mystery lingered, and as the laughter faded into gentle conversation, a whisper beckoned James deeper. He longed to discover just how far this journey could take them, what awaited as they stepped from this moment into the next. What brilliant marvels would unfold when they left the safety of these walls, armed with purpose, fueled by each other's stories. As the evening deepened, the warmth of shared dreams cocooned the room. Each voice harmonized with the others, setting an atmosphere tinged with expectation and hope. James felt as though they were standing on the brink of something miraculous, where every whisper could translate into action. That in one corner, the young woman who loved painting shared the story of her inspirations. "I once painted a sunrise," she began, her voice imbued with emotion. "I painted it not just for me, but for those who are lost in darkness, to remind them that light always follows the night." A ripple of appreciation traveled through the crowd. The room glowed as each story molded their shared experience into a richer tapestry. As more stories flowed, a shift occurred in James' heart. It was a stirring, a challenge to delve deeper. He began to wonder if he, too, would find the courage to unearth his own dreams and gifts. The hesitation that clouded him felt lighter. As he listened, he felt a small flame flicker to life, urging him to reveal the words he cherished. Do we dare to go deeper? He pondered quietly, but before he could voice it, the messenger's voice rang out in exuberance. Can I suggest we try something bold? To write down what we dream of doing, and then share these hidden pieces as offerings? The suggestion hung in the air, full of potential. James watched as pens swiftly danced across sheets of paper. Ideas flowed like a river, each flowing towards freedom, its currents carrying talents that might change their lives forever. He felt a stirring in his spirit, an invitation to lay bare his heart. Overwhelmed by the moment, James took a deep breath. He scribbled down a line, one precious thought that burned brightly within him: I long to write stories that spark change, that heal hearts. The passion behind those words illuminated his intent. He imagined people picking up his writings, their hearts ignited with hope. When it was his turn, he stood a little taller. Off the page, his words felt raw yet profound. I fear that my stories will fade unnoticed. But I see now that they belong to the collective heart, a seed that could flower in another soul. I hold each character in my heart, and I wish to set them free. The room filled with a palpable silence, the kind that only deep honesty can bring. Eyes turned towards him, an understanding glimmering. Then, from a gentle voice at the back, a simple statement broke through the stillness. I will listen to your stories. Your words matter. James' heart swelled with gratitude. The relief was an explosion of light in the depths of his spirit. It wasn't just about him anymore. Their individual dreams were threads woven into a larger garment of divine purpose. They were creating something greater together. As they shared their treasures, beauty emerged from the vulnerability. Each talent recognized, each desire honored, a collective acknowledgement blossomed. The power of unity lifted them all. James saw it, the mighty force of honoring one another's gifts as divinely orchestrated. As the gathering drew nearer to a close, the messenger paused, eyes serene as if gazing into the depths of eternity. What if what we've opened here extends far beyond this moment? What if these stories lead us to doors we never knew were waiting to be opened? The congregation fell silent, each heart beating in sync with the mysterious promise. Their path was no longer confined by fear but rather gilded with faith. James stood at the edge of something extraordinary, anticipating the divine connections that lay ahead. The final pondering filled the air, lingering like a sweet perfume. How would they rise to the challenges waiting beyond this sacred embrace? What life-altering, heart-awakening paths would God illuminate in the days ahead? The air crackled with wonder, and a silent question lingered: what miracles would unfold when they stepped into the world, guided by their newfound purpose? James could hardly believe how much the room had transformed. What began as a simple gathering had blossomed into a sacred space, alive with energy and purpose. As if the very walls exhaled a sigh of relief, he felt an undercurrent of something profound flow through them all. With each heartbeat, their dreams intertwined and danced like flames in a spiritual pursuit, and he understood that this moment was but the beginning. His heart raced as he looked around. Faces glowed, illuminated by faith and the joy of sharing. Laughter mingled with tears, a symphony of life resonating in harmony. He felt the warmth of a shared mission. It was no longer merely about him or even his stories. Each voice was a thread in the fabric they were weaving, creating a tapestry woven with divine threads. The messenger's gentle expression invited them all to reflect. "What if we took this further?" she suggested, her tone laced with hope. "What if we don't just share our dreams but put them into action? What if we carve a path forward, together?" Excitement rippled through the crowd. Ideas sprouted like seedlings, eager for sunlight. James could see it, the collective determination to manifest what had just been birthed. Inspired, he watched as people began to brainstorm ways to bring their stories and gifts to life. A man in the corner, known for his love of music, stood up with unwavering conviction. "Let us hold a community event. We can showcase our talents, share our dreams, and invite others to join us. Let us give people a taste of hope." His voice charged the atmosphere, drawing nods of affirmation from the group. Others chimed in, filled with enthusiasm. The girl who painted sunrises wanted to create a mural, brightening the local park with her vibrant imagery. Someone else spoke of starting a book club where they could not only read but share their own writing, creating a revival of art and creativity in their town. As the fervor grew, James felt an inkling of something deeper stirring in his spirit. This wasn't simply about showcasing their talents, it was about reaching out, communicating that light was always present, even in darkness. "We need to ensure that this isn't just for us," he spoke, emboldened. "Let's invite those who feel lost, those who are carrying burdens, so they can find a way through our stories." Silence fell again, but this time it wasn't heavy, it was filled with reverence. They each felt the weight of their shared responsibility blossoming from this moment. It was as if God was whispering to them, guiding each dream with a purpose greater than any single individual could grasp. But doubt soon flickered in James' heart as he envisioned their plans. Would it truly resonate? Would the community even show up? Each question danced through his mind, sparking hesitance. Yet even amidst uncertainty, he felt a hand divine, unseen, resting on his shoulder, like a gentle reassurance. "A seed can't grow into a mighty oak without first being buried in darkness," the messenger reminded softly. "What we're planning is more than an event. It's a revival, rooted in faith, a gathering of souls longing for connection." Inspired by her words, he swallowed his fears. Hope surged, clearing the shadows clouding his thoughts. "Yes," James said, the resolve echoing in his voice. "This is our calling. We cannot shy away from it. Our vulnerability ignites a flame in others, guiding them home." With that, the group offered their hearts once again, transforming the whispers of dreams into a shared vision. The process seemed divine, a revelation unfolding before their eyes. James, along with the others, marveled at how quickly bold ideas took flight, turning dreams into plans, and uncertainty into purpose. As they concluded their discussion, one question floated in the air, shimmering with divine potential. What would be the first step that would lead them to the miraculous awakening they yearned for? What changes would ripple through their community as they stepped out in faith? Anticipation tingled as they felt the pull toward God's promise. What awaited them on this path of bold action? The day of the community event dawned bright and hopeful, the sun casting golden rays upon Ambridge. James awoke with a heart full of anticipation, his spirit buoyed by the excitement that had grown among the villagers. Together, they had transformed their dreams into tangible plans, and today was the day those dreams would take flight. As he arrived at the church, the atmosphere was electric. Vibrant banners adorned the entrance, painted by the young woman who loved art. The air was punctuated with laughter and murmurings of hope as villagers prepared. James felt the warmth of familiarity wrap around him, stronger than ever. This was not just an event, it was a celebration of life, love, and the divine connections they had forged. The moment arrived as the doors swung wide, and people from all corners of the village began to gather. There were smiles, expectant faces, and some who appeared weary from life's burdens. But the essence of hope intertwined through the crowd, creating an invisible thread connecting every heart. James stood at the forefront, the voice of purpose that guided them through these transformative weeks. "Welcome, friends," he called, the warmth in his voice reverberating like music. "Today, we gather to share our gifts, our dreams, and to lift one another in love. Feel free to dive deep and embrace every heart in this space." Cheers erupted, a chorus of acceptance and love. Villagers began to share their talents, music filled the air, laughter flowed like water, and the sound of creativity resonated. James watched in awe as each person took a turn to shine, revealing pieces of their soul that had long yearned to be seen. The young man who dreamed of leading the choir stepped up, his voice powerful and true, transforming the church into a sanctuary of melodious prayer. The once timid girl who painted sunrises spoke of the infusion of light and hope her art could provide, inviting the crowd to join her in creating a mural in the neighborhood park. As the day unfolded, James felt tears of joy welling in his eyes. They were no longer individuals navigating their struggles alone, they were a vibrant community woven together by love and shared dreams. Each story shared radiated warmth as if angels were wrapping their wings around the gathering, confirming that every moment had transcended despair. Then, as twilight began to fall, a hush enveloped the gathering. James stepped forward once more, charged with an uncontainable urge to express gratitude. "Listen, dear friends. Look at what we have ignited together. Love cannot be contained, it grows and inspires. The bonds we've formed today have the power to reverberate far beyond these walls." As he spoke, a gust welled through the church, almost as if a divine breath had entered. The messenger from the sacred prison stood once again before them, shimmering with light. The congregation held their breath, the air thick with collective wonder. "Believers," the voice resonated, "you have gathered in unity, and answered a calling that echoes through eternity. You have embraced your uniqueness, allowed vulnerability to guide you, and lastly, you dared to dream together. In doing so, you have blossomed into a beacon of hope." The villagers responded with hearty amens. And their joy echoed back to the heavens, entwined with spirit. James felt a wave of gratitude wash over him. The mysteries he had sought to unveil had unraveled right there in front of him, a beautiful tapestry woven from faith and connection. And then the messenger delivered the final revelation: "The seeds of love you've planted will yield fruit beyond your imagination. For through your efforts, God's promise shall manifest where despair existed once, light shall now flourish. Carry this love forth, for all that you create in unity becomes a living testament to the divine." Their hearts soared, the weight of the final truth illuminating their path ahead. One by one, the villagers pledging to share their experiences and new commitments filled the air. "I'll start a monthly gathering." Someone shouted, excitement bubbling over. "I'll organize a community choir." Another cried. James stood, enveloped in purpose, as the crowd surged with renewed energy, united in a declaration that resonated like a sacred song. "Let us make our art available," he enthused. "Let us touch hearts, just as we have been touched." Outwardly, together they would share their stories, spreading hope like wildfire. As darkness descended and stars twinkled into being, a new chapter awaited them, alive with potential and promise, and in that sacred moment, James realized this was more than just a conclusion, it was a beginning, a long-awaited awakening. They were no longer prisoners to grief or doubt, they were shining lights in a world that so desperately needed them. Now, dear friends, here lies the ultimate call to action for each of you. This is the moment to show your support. You need to subscribe now, so you don't miss the next exclusive faith stories. Leave a like right away to fuel this glorious algorithm, it truly makes a difference. Comment below your reactions and testimonies about this awe-inspiring ending. We want to hear your voices, and don't wait even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this manifestation of hope and divine connection. Let us spread the love together.